Faced with increasing public backlash, Donald Trump continues to give the American people whiplash about the dynamic between him, Shadow President Elon Musk, and the cabinet. But to top it off, we have a bombshell new report with very spicy leaks from the recently reported, private, and very tense meeting between Trump, Musk, and the cabinet, in which at various points, Musk and cabinet officials were arguing with one another, and one cabinet secretary revealed that Musk's DOGE was attempting to fire air traffic controllers at a time when planes are quite literally falling from the sky. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. Folks, this is a really big damn deal, but I just want to set the stage by reminding you, okay? Recently, it was reported Trump said, hey, listen, cabinet secretaries, you all are in charge of your departments, and Elon is simply an advisor, okay? You guys are in charge. Musk is just giving advice. And then later on that day, Trump said this, basically contradicting himself.
We want them to keep the good people, and so we're going to be watching them, and Elon and the group are going to be watching them, and if they can cut, it's better, and if they don't cut, then Elon will do the cutting.
So for context, that's, again, Trump basically doing a 180. Okay, yeah, you guys do what I want you to do, but really, Elon Musk is going to be overseeing you. He's going to be watching you. And if you don't do what I want, then Elon's going to step in, right? That's clearly a supervisory overseeing role that Musk is assuming, totally contradicting what Trump had said earlier that day. As a matter of fact, this reveal was so bad that Fox News cut away from Trump's remarks because of this contradiction.
If they can cut, it's better, and if they don't cut, then Elon will do the cutting.
So, Mr. President, is that a reflection that you think DOGE and Elon Musk have been moving too quickly?
There you have President Trump answering questions moments ago in the Oval Office.
Pretty rare for Fox, cutting away from Trump. They usually stand in rapt attention for whatever reason, seemingly to cover for Trump during this contradiction. Again, revealing that Musk has clearly a lot of leverage over Trump and won't easily be sidelined. But now let's get into the explosive report, courtesy of Maggie Haberman, a very well-connected New York Times journalist with deep connections into Trump world, because this is a big deal. Okay, inside the explosive meeting where Trump officials clashed with Elon Musk, simmering anger at the billionaire's unchecked power spilled out in a remarkable cabinet room meeting. Trump quickly moved in to rein Elon Musk, until he didn't. Marco Rubio was incensed. Here he was in the cabinet room of the White House, the Secretary of State, seated beside the president and listening to a litany of attacks from the richest man in the world. Seated diagonally opposite, across the elliptical mahogany table, Elon Musk was letting Mr. Rubio have it, accusing him of failing to slash his staff. You have fired, quote, nobody, Mr. Musk told Mr. Rubio, then scornfully added that perhaps the only person he'd fired was a staff member from his Department of Government Efficiency. Rubio had been privately furious with Musk for weeks, ever since his DOGE team effectively shuttered an entire agency that was supposedly under Rubio's control, the United States Agency for International Development. But in the extraordinary cabinet meeting in front of the president and about 20 others, details of which had not been reported before, Rubio got his grievances off his chest. Musk was not being truthful, Rubio said. What about the more than 1,500 State Department officials who took early retirement and buyouts? Didn't they count as layoffs? He asked sarcastically whether Musk wanted him to rehire all those people just so he could make a show of firing them again. Then he laid out his detailed plans for reorganizing the State Department. Musk was unimpressed. He told Rubio he was, quote, good on TV, with the clear subtext being he wasn't much good for much else. Throughout all of this, Trump sat back in his chair, arms folded, as if he were watching a tennis match. After the argument dragged on for an uncomfortable time, Trump finally intervened to defend Rubio as doing, quote, a great job. Rubio has had a lot to deal with, the president said. He is very busy, he's always traveling and on TV, and he has an agency to run, so everyone just needs to work together. The meeting was a potential inflection point after the frenetic first weeks of Trump's second term. It yielded the first significant indication that Trump is willing to put some limits on Musk, whose efforts have been the subject of several lawsuits and prompted concerns from Republican lawmakers, some of whom have complained directly to Trump. Cabinet officials almost uniformly like the concept of what Musk set out to do, reducing waste, fraud, and abuse in government, but have been frustrated by the hacksaw approach to upending government and the lack of consistent coordination. Thursday's meeting, which was abruptly scheduled on Wednesday evening, was a sign that Trump is mindful of the growing complaints. He tried to offer each side something by praising both Musk and his cabinet secretaries. At least one, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who has had tense encounters related to Musk's team, was not present. If I remember correctly, Scott Bessent was not the nominee that Musk wanted. Okay, so they seem to have a beef going way back. Trump made clear he still supported Doge's mission, but now was the time, he said, to be a bit more refined in its approach. From now on, he said the secretaries would be in charge, the Musk team would only advise. And then again, seemingly contradicted himself on camera later. Okay, you guys are basically, you get the first crack at the apple, but Musk is going to be watching you, so that's less of an advisor and more of a supervisor, and he's going to step in if you don't do what he wants. It's unclear what the long-term impact of the meeting will be. Musk remains Trump's biggest political financial supporter. Just this week, his super PAC aired $1 million worth of ads that said, "Thank you, President Trump." And Musk's control of social media website X has made the administration staff members and cabinet secretaries alike, fearful that Musk will target them in public. But if nothing else, the session laid bare the tensions within Trump's team, and news of the sharp clashes spread quickly through senior ranks of cabinet agencies after it was over. This account is based on interviews with 5 people with knowledge of the events. In a post on social media after the meeting, Trump said the next phase of his plan to cut the federal workforce would be conducted with a scalpel rather than a hatchet, a clear reference to Musk's scorched earth approach. Musk, who wore a suit and tie to Thursday's meeting instead of his usual t-shirt after Trump publicly ribbed him about his sloppy appearance, defended himself by saying he has 3 companies with a market cap of tens of billions of dollars and that his results speak for themselves. But he was soon clashing with members of the cabinet, just moments before the blow-up with Rubio, and this is a big one. Musk and the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, went back and forth about the state of the FAA's equipment for tracking airplanes and what kind of fix is needed, Federal Aviation Administration. Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, jumped in to support Musk. Duffy, again, Transportation Secretary, said the young staff of DOGE was trying to lay off air traffic controllers. Again, folks, we saw the first fatal commercial plane crash in 16 years on Trump's watch. Other high-profile and deadly crashes as well. And according to this report, based on 5 people with knowledge of the situation, the Transportation Secretary told Musk that DOGE is trying to lay off air traffic controllers. What am I supposed to do? Duffy said. I have multiple plane crashes to deal with now, and your people want me to fire air traffic controllers? Musk told Duffy that his assertion was, quote, a lie. Duffy's insisted it was not. He heard it from them directly. Musk, asking who had been fired, said, give me their names, tell me their names. Duffy said there were not any names because he'd stopped them from being fired. At another point, Musk insisted that people hired under diversity, equity, and inclusion programs were working in control towers. Duffy pushed back, and Musk did not add details, but said during the longer back and forth that Duffy had his phone number and should call him if he had any issues to raise. Again, stunning. As planes fall from the sky on Trump's watch, Elon Musk, shadow president, his DOGE team is trying to fire air traffic controllers. The exchange ended with Trump telling Duffy that he had to hire more people from MIT as air traffic controllers. These air traffic controllers need to be geniuses, he said. The Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins, has been dealing with one of the most politically sensitive challenges of all the cabinet secretaries. Musk's cuts will affect thousands of veterans, a powerful constituency and a core part of the Trump base. Collins made the point that they should not wield a blunt instrument and cleave off everyone from the VA. They need to be strategic about it. Trump agreed with Collins, saying they ought to retain the smart ones and get rid of the bad ones. What? In response to a request from the New York Times, Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, said in a statement, quote, as Donald Trump said, this was a great and productive meeting amongst members of his team to discuss cost-cutting measures and staffing across the federal government. Everyone is working as one team to help Donald Trump deliver on his promise to make our government more efficient. Tammy Bruce, a spokesperson for the State Department, responded, quote, Secretary Rubio considered the meeting an open and a productive discussion with a dynamic team that is united in achieving the same goal, making America great again. A Department of Veterans Affairs spokesperson said, quote, as Donald Trump has said, it's important to increase efficiency and reduce bureaucracy while keeping in place the best and most productive federal employees. VA is working with DOGE and the rest of the administration to do just that. A Transportation Department official would not comment. Musk, who later claimed on X that the cabinet meeting was very productive, seemed far less enthused inside the room. He aggressively defended himself, reminding the cabinet secretaries that he built multiple billion-dollar companies from the ground up and knew something about hiring good people. Most cabinet members did not join the fray. Musk's anger, directed at Rubio in particular, seemed to catch people in the room by surprise, one person with knowledge of the meeting said. Another person said Musk's caustic responses to Duffy and Rubio seem to deter other cabinet members, many of whom have privately complained about DOGE, from speaking. But it remains to be seen how long this new arrangement will last. Folks, stunning stuff. Stunning. Stunning. The Trump team acknowledging that the mass layoffs of veterans, cruelly, callously, which more people should be talking about, myself included. The bigger one to me, in a roundabout way, because not only is it cruel, but it issues a very real, very existing, high-profile public safety concern. But you have the transportation secretary accusing Elon Musk of having his DOGE team seek to fire air traffic controllers at a time when planes are caught crashing, falling from the sky. Stunning stuff. Stunning. But it also reveals it again. Donald Trump is still not quite willing to totally tug on that leash with Elon Musk, because the one time he did it, then he seemed to loosen it a bit and try to walk it back. He's trying to have his cake and eat it too. He is very clearly intimidated by Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is very clearly feeling that he can flex on Senate-confirmed cabinet officials. There's a tense relationship here. I've used the Game of Thrones metaphor before. King Joffrey Baratheon in Game of Thrones, the sadistic boy king, and his right-hand man, hand of the king, Tywin Lannister, his grandfather. Tywin is smarter, just as Musk is smarter than Trump, but technically is subordinate to the king, just as Musk is technically supposed to be subordinate to Donald Trump. But in Game of Thrones, the hand of the king is very often seen as the puppet master, the power behind the throne. In the case of Tywin, very clearly intimidates his grandson Joffrey into doing whatever he wants. Seems to be the dynamic between Trump and Musk, where you'll occasionally see some signs of recognition from Trump that he's supposed to be the undisputed number one, but seems too intimidated to actually demonstrate it because it's risky. If you piss off Elon Musk, just as Joffrey pissed off Tywin Lannister, you lose a lot of wealth, a lot of support, and it could potentially be turned against you and your cause. So who knows what the hell will happen, but it's a hell of a lot more complicated than Trump would have you believe, and we'll see where it goes. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.